This is the Ross Grimsley Show. The Ross Grimsley Show is presented by Mobil 1. Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center and ask for Mobil 1. Now, here's the old left-hander, Ross Grimsley.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for being with us this beautiful morning. Joining me today, Kyle Ottenheimer.
Nailed
Kyle,
it.
how you doing, buddy? How's that?
Doing great.
You get everything situated here this morning?
No, but we're making it work.
Absolutely, you know it. Well, before we get started, before I let everybody know who our guest is this morning, let's talk a little bit about what's at 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Why not?
Costa's Inn, known far and wide for great steamed crabs and crab cakes. They have nightly specials that include the crab cake night on Mondays, rib night on Tuesdays, steak night on Wednesdays, and with that steak, you get a half-price bottle of wine.
Beautiful
Can't
thing.
beat that. Lobster night on Thursdays. Check out CostasInn.com and find out more. They'll also ship those crab cakes anywhere in the United States for you, and maybe, I guess, they might do it.
Here, if you needed it.
I guess.
If you don't feel like going out to Costa's Inn, if you just want to have it shipped to your house, they'll probably do that too. So
Really.
they're the best over there.
Oh. Anyway, our guest today, Alan Mills, manager of the rookie ball team in Sarasota. That'll be interesting because they won their division. They had the best record in the league. Number one pitching team. So they got the.
But then,
you talk about the baby birds. That's the
that
baby
all
birds.
was the case. And if I'm not mistaken, we have the ability to talk to Alan Mills because of Mother Nature.
Yes, absolutely. That's
as the Gulf
And
Coast
that's
League
too bad,
Orioles
yeah.
finished their season and leading the league, like you said, they were in first place by a pretty wide margin.
Yep.
And then the playoffs got canceled because of Hurricane
Exactly
Dorian, which,
right.
by the way, Bahamas thoughts and prayers to everybody out there. Like it's terrible, and people in Charleston and wherever it may hit in the land, like America, it's understandable that they would cancel it.
Absolutely.
But it's unfortunate for a team that played so well.
I know that to happen. Yep. And well, you got Delmarva that's in. They're playing Hickory, which is the Texas AA farm team, and Delmarva, who is playing. Bowie's playing Harrisburg, which is Washington's AA team. So that starts, the Bowie Eastern League Championship starts Wednesday. Wednesday and Thursday they're in Bowie, then they go to Harrisburg for the last
The Orioles
needed.
Minor league, look, we mentioned it earlier, I think last week. They're, with the exception of Norfolk,
yep.
Pretty much every stop along the way had a good bit of stuff to be excited about.
Right.
And
Frederick was a little, they had their problems.
You have similar levels as far as Frederick and Delmarva are concerned, so it's possible that management maybe doesn't even view both steps as necessary for some players.
Oh, absolutely not.
Jump from Delmarva up to Bowie. But there's encouraging stuff, and I think the Gulf Coast League Orioles is a particularly interesting group.
That's even more important because you see like I said, the baby birds. These are young guys, and there's some numbers, and I got to ask Millsy about this. There's some numbers for the pitchers that are really remarkable. That's really a great sign.
And I'm
for
admittedly a bit ignorant. I don't know exactly what the league plays like in the Gulf Coast League.
A lot of first year signees. Some guys have repeated younger players, but there are a lot of the draft first year guys. They'll go there if they show, just like the shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. He
second round pick, of course.
Right, and he showed obviously in Rushman doing what he did. The guys will show that they don't belong there, that they belong somewhere else. Even though Rushman hit I think a $145, but. You see how he swings, what he does, how he carries himself, how he looks
behind the plate as well.
Behind the plate,
that arm is,
the arm is and really for a guy, a college kid calls the game, which they usually don't call in college. So, but that's a good sign.
How much
there,
does it help? So you're obviously a former major league pitcher. When you had a guy behind the plate like Rip Dempsey was no slouch, I'm not sure if you had a chance to throw to him, but a guy who had the ability to just pretty much gun out anytime a guy runs, even if you're throwing a breaking ball.
Johnny Bench.
What did that confidence?
That was, the problem with Bench, he wanted fastballs. So he'd have a chance to throw the guy out, which he really didn't. You had to actually, even in between innings when you would throw down to second base, you had to get out of the way as a pitcher. Yeah. You had to get off the mound
on a line.
Or duck.
Would he throw it back to second harder than you would throw it to him sometimes?
He'd throw it back to you harder than you would throw it sometimes. If the ball wasn't where he called it and wanted it and you didn't hit the spot, they all would. I remember Pat Corrales, Bill Plummer. these guys, I mean, especially the backup catchers, because they didn't get to catch that much. And all they asked, they wanted Bench to tell them when he was going to take his day off. And they would kind of work it out and know usually, but then he'd trick them every now and then.
I saw a video of him at Delmarva, Rutschman, that is, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Bench. Throwing out a runner. And I think the difference between the great and the good catchers and the ones who are just, regular defensive catchers is Rutschman, you could tell while the pitch was coming, while he was delivering the ball, he could already see the guy running for second.
Yeah.
He was already getting his feet ready, adjusting, and it was it's special, the ability to
be able to do that. And obviously he had some good tutoring as growing up, but this guy's special.
The Gulf Coast League, though, going back to that, is more, does it play more for the pitchers or the hitters?
That's something we're going to have to ask. Now, I never spent. When I was a pitching coordinator, I would go into the rookie ball camps periodically, obviously, and we would spend a lot of time there. But it's letting the guys. Now, all these guys coming out of college, high school, they've played a lot, so you got to be careful. You don't want to overload them because they're going to get there. When you get around, even as a veteran, you go to spring training. You get into spring training no matter what you do before spring training. You get around all the guys. You get that energy, and you try to do a little bit more than you're capable of doing. That's when you start getting sore. Now these guys, some of them are tired. Their arms are a little weary. They do that, then they get hurt. So you got to really back them off and be careful because they take maybe 2 weeks or more off.
Right. It's an interesting mix. It's a mixture of, you said, those guys that are year removed.
Really.
And also it's sometimes rehabbing guys.
That's the reason you have so many coaches down there and several, pitching coaches. I know Scotty's down there. Millsy obviously was a pitcher. So you got these guys that are, can see what's going on. And that's really important because, like I said, you want to let them do what they do to an extent, kind of showing them what professional ball's like. It'll be interesting to hear what his take on what the analytics they presented.
Sure.
I can't believe it would be that much because you don't want to overload them. They're just getting ready to get in professional ball and
I would
learn
imagine
about that.
At that level, right? Like you mentioned, talent wins out. Like Gunnar Henderson was picked 36th overall for a reason or whatever it was. Like the kid is extremely talented. So when you put him, chances are he will play better than the other players because, he's probably better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's, I'm excited to talk to Alan Mills and get his thoughts on.
And all of them, if I hope we got enough time. But
right?
It's interesting because I know it's a little bit different now, with things. What can you do? What can you present to them? Is there a procedure that you follow that the organization wants?
Sure.
Can you kind of blend in your stuff?
And it seems like there's a very top-down message right now throughout the Orioles organization as to what Mike Elias and company want from the system, from each level, and that's.
I'm sure it'll be more thrown in it as they go along and people get accustomed to it, but you just can't. It doesn't make a lot of sense just to dump a lot on because they got enough on, especially at the lower level. They got enough on their minds anyway.
Well, you'd like to think these players they've added to the system that are that young are their kind of players, regardless.
Sure.
Right?
Oh yeah,
So
they've already shown that at the lower levels they got some guys doing some pretty good. You draft and get the top picks, you're going to have some good players.
That's why
unless you're just totally, bonkers on what you're getting or what you can sign. But
I was hoping the Orioles would just lose. But look, what'd you make of the Tommy Pham, Dylan Tate thing yesterday?
Who knows?
Do you think he threw it?
No, I honestly no, I don't because he doesn't have the greatest command. And some of these guys with the young arms that throw. Look at Castro. Great arm. A lot of times he's not really sure where it's going.
I think his release point, if you were to look at the data that shows where he's letting go of the ball, Castro's release point is all over the place for his delivery.
But he's changed his delivery. He's got a lower arm angle now, which seems to help at times, but still.
Get more movement, but if you can't control it, right?
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. But, yeah, it's interesting. But they're going to make something out of something. Who knows? Well,
whatever you got to do to motivate yourself to get the walk-off, right? Credit to him to get the hit. But there's at least more arms in the Orioles bullpen, we've talked about it, that are major league caliber.
Big time.
Yeah.
Hunter Harvey, who's going to be – he's something. Givens,
Tate has looked good at times.
Tate does. He's a young guy.
He's worth giving the chance to continue to work it out.
That's the whole thing about you got to make sure when you're bringing these guys up, and people are really upset that Mountcastle's not coming up. They're really upset that Hayes is. They're not upset, but they're voicing their opinion.
But people like Anthony Santander have taken away spots and opportunities,
right?
Because they've played so well, right?
The thing with Mountcastle, he's had a really good, most valuable player, but talking to the people that see him, scouts, coaches, whatever, it's better to bring him up later than sooner.
Well, there's
because you don't want. Can he hit big league pitching on a consistent level, or will he get? I mean, look what happened to Mancini. He went through his struggles. Can this kid handle? He's 22 years old.
But I think the difference between those two players also is Mancini, throughout his career historically, was a guy with a great hit tool as far as average and contact, and he didn't necessarily strike out at an alarming rate.
Right.
Mountcastle's plate discipline is in question, right?
Exactly.
So when you get to the major league level, there's the discrepancy between
when they find that weak spot, they're going to go to it continually until he makes an adjustment. So give him a little more time,
as well as defensively.
Well, he's learning new. It might be a better left fielder than a first baseman.
That throw you see the throw he got the guy out at home was a little offline, but it was. I mean, it got there relatively fast. Like it didn't look like a guy it's not Johnny Damon out there,
No, but he's improved, and here's a guy that could play first or left field. But again, and Hayes has to play. He's been hurt.
Do you think he's just going to be the center fielder next year?
Very possible. Right? I wouldn't doubt it one bit because they don't really have a center fielder.
Isn't a true center fielder, right?
No. But he's done a credible job wherever he plays, and mostly he's played in the outfield. But yeah, he's a guy that Hayes a guy I think is, if you can keep him healthy, the same. I mean, you see Stewart's a corner guy. They
had the fact of the matter is they have too many of those.
Mountcastle's
not at the big league level because they have too many of those.
I tell you, the big thing. I think the hitting will be fine in the organization, or in the big leagues. The pitching and defense are two things that, especially the defense will make the pitching better, and the defense has really been. I mean, Cisco has really been poor behind the plate defensively, and he's a guy. He doesn't. He's not a outspoken person. He doesn't. He's kind of a quiet guy, and we heard that before. And somebody said that he really doesn't say a lot, and you really want a catcher to be more
supposed to be the leader on the field, right?
Well, you got sometimes you got to bark at the pitcher. Sometimes you got to pat him on the back, and he's not a barking guy.
You think of them, or they always give them the metaphor of the bulldog, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, like I said, with bench or the backup guys, Corrales. All these guys, if you didn't make pitches, they would throw the ball back, and a little harder than you would want, get it where I want it. And they would, I mean, rookies, oh gosh, they abuse you.
Were there any ever situations where, maybe not with you, but that you know of with teammates or rookies, where it was like a Bull Durham, like bench would tip to the hitter if they didn't?
Well, sometimes we could tell him if you couldn't get a guy out, and I saw I don't forget who it was that he goes curveball. He just tell him what's coming because not knowing he's still hitting it, so I might as well tell him. And we've done that before. I've give the sign for a fastball.
That's so funny.
I mean, you'd sit and the catcher would go through it, and you shake, and I just went fastball or a curveball, and we did it in. I know as coaching, I know in AA sometimes you would want the catcher to throw a certain pitch. A lot of times I didn't even care if the guy knew it because if he knew it was coming, it could be even harder for him. And a lot of times we just give that throw the curveball. Throw the change up. What the heck? And the guy'd swing and miss it or pop it up or whatever. But a lot of times, as like pitching to Clemente, the way you get Clemente, I just throw the ball down the middle of the plate.
Is that
right down
real?
the middle? Yeah, Sangin was the same way. Throw it down.
They're just not used to being able to.
They were bad ball hitters. You throw a ball he had his last home run he hit off of me in the 72 playoffs. It was a fastball that was probably 2 feet outside and neck high. And he hit it over the right field wall.
He pulled it, or he hit
it the other way. Hit it the other way. Yeah, and I mean that was.
I mean that's Vlad, right? But Vlad wouldn't miss the ball in the middle of the plate.
But that was
That's crazy.
Throw it down the middle. Sanguina, same way. They look for balls in bad spots and hit them. But the ball down the middle, they take sometimes. So anyway,
I mean, that's incredible. Hand-eye coordination necessary to be able to do that is incredible.
Clemente was amazing. I
have a plaque.
I was able to get. I gave up 2 hits to him that day. That's the only 2 hits the Pirates got.
Really?
He got both of them. He got his last home run. I talk about throwing a 2-hitter in the playoffs in the 72 series or playoffs.
Yeah, that's no joke.
I talk more about giving up the home run to Clemente, his last home run. So
I mean, that's pretty incredible.
No, that was some kind of team, but that they had back then. A lot of Stargell, Oliver, Richie Hebner. They had some guys, but we handled them pretty well.
You guys did all right during your game.
Yeah.
The Orioles, though, currently, right, like you talk about Cisco's not necessarily complacency, but is maybe shy demeanor and all of that, right? Like these guys, these guys are all of them. You insert name here, even Santander are they're flawed. They have flaws, and
defensively,
right? Like especially defensively for a lot of these guys.
Hanser Alberto.
Like,
I mean, he's hitting 400 against left-handers. He got 11 home runs. He holds the record now for the most hits versus a left-hander.
It's all fine and well. But where are you going to play him?
Exactly. I mean, he's adequate wherever you put him, but he's not going to make the great. He's going to make a play every now and then, but you got to look out.
My opinion of this all is if Hanser Alberto is getting consistent at bats for the Orioles, that means that there is not a player in their farm system right now at that position knocking down the door.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
There's no big league club that's contending that's going to be playing Hanser Alberto consistently. Maybe as a platoon bat, right?
And that's the same with VR.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy that's having a great year, hitting 280, something like that. Mm-hmm. And they tried to trade him. I think the Cubs were interested, and they couldn't really move him for whatever reason. They couldn't get what they wanted back or whatever. But it's the way he runs the bases, you just don't know in a crucial situation. And then defensively, he's not a shortstop, but he plays there. He can play, I think, a better second base.
Probably.
But
he's adequate. It's both. If that at short,
so you
right?
just gotta hope he drives in more than he lets in, or running the bases. Like I said, I mean, no telling what he may do.
And look, he's statistically, like in fantasy baseball, he's a quality asset, right? He's going to give you 30 stolen bases, and he's got 20 home runs. But it's just between the lines, right? Like there's no way these guys are playing consistently on contending clubs.
Yep.
They have better options, whether it be in their farm system or they will go and get them. So the Orioles are creating opportunities for some guys to showcase their ability, and I think Hanser Alberto is making a fine case to be a platoon bat for a team. Right?
Trumbo's trying to make, I think he's got another year on his contract, but he came back, he got a base hit, and I tell you what, he hits the ball away as well as anybody, especially when they played the shift. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the shift beat more the last few games, the last several days, than I've seen it. I don't know if the guys are wising up and going,
so, right?
You know what? If they're going to pitch me away and play me to pull, I'm going to hit the ball the other way. And he drives in 2 runs with a double.
Right?
That's what I mean. Yeah,
you want to see more people.
I was reading some of the things that are happening now. The home runs. I mean, the Twins. The Twins have broke the record for the most home runs in a season at 268 right now.
And I think there will be more teams in the big leagues that will get to that number this year.
Oh, yeah.
The Yankees.
But in 5 games, they have 5 games where they've hit 6 or more home runs. That's a record. The last one they did hit 6 home runs and lost 10-7. So several solo home runs there. They've also 11 games they've hit 5 or more home runs, which is a record. They have 8 or 9 guys with 20 or more home runs.
Yeah,
that's
look. Part of it is the baseballs, right? Like
absolutely.
But there's still, if you were to account for whatever the difference between these past 2 years, this year to whatever the baseballs used to be, that's still at least 6 guys with 20+ homers.
Really, and then you got the rookie Aquino from the Reds.
Yeah,
he's got
that. What is it like to throw to a guy with an open batting stance? Did you ever face anybody whose batting stance was just that wide open where it's...
One of the things we learned it the hard way with the Reds with Dave Parker. Dave Parker stood on top of the plate, and we pounded them inside. And usually the reason that the guys stand on top of the plate because they can't get the ball away. Mm-hmm. So the second half of the season, he moved 6 inches back off the plate. Now where are we pitching? We try to go away. He crushed it. What we did is make the plate about 6 or 8 inches bigger and pitched him inside off the plate. I mean, it was crazy.
And the way you've seen Aquino's stance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's Tony Batista, right? Like he's it doesn't make sense really, but it really just makes me question everything I was taught as a baseball player. Because everyone, like, your batting stance is supposed to look like this. You're supposed to be.
Yeah. He can see it better. He can see the ball. When you have an open stance, you can pick up, for whatever reason, you see the ball better. Now, as a pitcher, you see if the guy get in, but then you focus on the plate and what you've done in the past to the guy.
What would you think the weakness for a hitter like that would be?
It depends. I mean, it's you got to face them. You face them in a series, 4 games, you'll figure it out.
You think?
You'll figure. I mean, most time you'll figure out what guys try to do. You'll figure out where they hit the ball the most, what they hit, if they chase, if they hit the first pitch, if he's a better off-speed hitter. Now, they say he's a good breaking ball. No, hitters are not good breaking ball hitters. They're bad breaking ball hitters. Mm-hmm. If you throw a good one,
you can't hit
most hitters aren't going to hit it.
Well, the good breaking ball is the one that makes you bite.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, some of the things that just reading you saw where Verlander threw his no-hitter.
Third of his career.
There's only a handful of guys that have done that. Well, he struck out 14 guys. The next night, Garrett Cole struck out 14.
They've got some talent.
That's never happened. The last time that happened was 1893 when they moved the mound back to 60 feet 6 inches.
It seems like they figured out the baseballs well enough. I guess.
Pretty much. They lead the major leagues in strikeouts. Most strikeouts for pitchers. The hitters, the Astros, have the fewest strikeouts. Yeah. That's just crazy.
Weaponized the strikeout, right?
Crazy things, really, really. So,
well, we're going to take our break. On the other side, we'll chat with Gulf Coast League manager Alan.
Looking forward to that.
Mills.
Yeah, should be fun.
It's the Ross Grimsley Show from the live casino hotel studio here at Pressbox.
Baltimore's favorite bar is just 771 feet from home plate at Camden Yards. Sliders Bar and Grill is at 504 Washington Boulevard, just steps away from Camden Yards. It's the perfect sports bar for every season. This is the perfect time to book your private party or take the office to lunch. Feeding clients? Take them to Baltimore's neighborhood sports bar, Sliders, for great food and drinks with some local atmosphere. You can book your private event on the second floor or on the outside patio, both overlooking the best stadium in baseball. See all of Sliders' daily specials or book your party at slidersbaltimore.com. Sliders, Baltimore's neighborhood sports bar. Visit them today.
Check out Costa's Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. They're known far and wide for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes. And their nightly specials also include crab cake night on Monday, rib night on Tuesday, steak night on Wednesdays with a half-price bottle of wine, and lobster night on Thursdays. Check out costasinn.com to find out more. And the delicious crab cakes are shipped anywhere.
The Ross Grimsley Show is sponsored by Jerry's Tire, located in Baltimore City, just steps away from Little Italy and historic Jonestown. Jerry's not only sells all the major brand tires like Bridgestone, Michelin, and Continental, but is your go-to shop for everything from oil changes to factory scheduled maintenance. All repairs are backed by a nationwide warranty. The team over at Jerry's has been serving the Baltimore area for over 62 years and are eager to earn your business. Give them a call at 410-685-4330 or visit them online at jerrystires.com to shop for tires and schedule an appointment. That's Jerry's, GERRYS, tires.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Let me tell you a little bit about Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. Helps extend your engine life. Visit Jiffy Lube Service Center and ask for Mobil 1. All right, we're back here now, and my next guest, he was a pitching instructor for the Orioles for several years at the rookie ball level, A-ball level, double-A level for a year. Last 2 years, 2017, 2018, he was the bullpen coach for the Major League team. Alan Mills. Alan, thanks, buddy, for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Are you in Florida right now?
I
am. How's it doing down there?
You know, kind of waiting on this storm, man. It kind of hit the brakes down in the Bahamas and kind of waiting to see what it does next.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, well, stay safe, buddy. Hey, let me ask you. I now know this is your first year managing anywhere, I believe. And you guys, you're in the Gulf Coast League. You're managing the rookie ball team. You guys had a fantastic year, 38-15. You won the division. You had the best record in the league. Unfortunately, you can't have the playoffs because of the weather, which is sad. But the pitchers down there, your team led the league in earned run average. You had a 254 earned run average, third lowest walks, sixth in strikeouts. I mean, just so many good things. First of all, how did you get? Did you ask to manage, or did they come to you and suggest that?
It was a suggestion, and it just worked out. It was a very good experience. I loved every minute of it. The guys that we drafted, the guys that that came back, it was just a good group of guys. The staff was outstanding. I couldn't ask for a better job or a better assignment, and to be around a better group of guys. Both players and staff.
Is this something that you want to, do in the future? You move up the ladder and possibly go all the way to the top, the major leagues?
Something, I've never coached that way. I took the job when I first got hired. I was an Aberdeen pitching coach, and, that's where my focus lies. I don't, I never try to look, okay, well, I need to do this to get here, to get here. My job is, this past year was the GCL manager, so that's what I focused on. If I go anywhere beyond that, then I kind of cheat the people that I'm around. So I just try to stay focused on where I am and let whatever takes place after that take care of itself.
Well, let me with the Orioles doing their analytic stuff, we were talking about this earlier. I know first-year guys getting into the organization, you got to kind of watch them, because they've been used a lot in college, high school, whatever. What kind of explain to everybody what basically the rookie ball, what your staff, what you do with those guys. You kind of watch over them, I know, and you can't do too much. But what's a day like?
A day for me or a day for the players?
But what you guys do with the players on a daily basis?
Basically, you get an introduction to professional baseball. So we start off before the draft. It's like an extended spring training for all the players that didn't get a chance to make a team going north. And once the draft happens, you have about 10 days to get ready for the season. So it's a condensed spring training for the new drafted guys. And, you strap it on and you start playing. You introduce them, to the way that your organization is going to approach the game. And you try to teach them that and instill that in them. You do that from day one.
Right. Can you... I know the organization has a way of doing stuff. Are you able to mix what you know and what you know that works? Are you able to mix that in along with the staff? Can you guys do that? Or is it more of a structured thing?
It's a bit of both. You're structured. A lot of the things that you know and you do or have done, in the past, as long as it's in line with what the organization wants to do.
Right.
There's no problem at all mixing it. But, like you said, you have a new set of guidelines with anybody running the organization, and the analytics and all that stuff. I think it's very important. You don't see any more dinosaurs around, the earth because, they didn't adapt. You have to adapt to the changes. And I think you have to have a combination of both. You have to have the new and the old. If you have just a complete one or the other, you're going to miss out because as much as the analytics play a part, you still have to have a tangible part of the game where the guy understands what it's like to play.
Right.
I don't think you can have. It has to be a good balance of both.
So then you've been seeing these guys at nearly their earliest stage as they come through the system. Have you been impressed with Mike Elias and company's ability to identify that character trait among players?
The players that we got in Sarasota were outstanding. Our pitching staff was, like you said earlier, in the broadcast, was among the best. And, you know, anybody that knows anything about baseball, if you do succeed and if you do win, you have to have good pitching. And that starts off with any organization, any team. And our pitching was outstanding. So, you know, the guys that we got in the draft, I was pleased with. They were a great group of guys, great character, and they had talent. So it was easy to work with those guys.
Millsy, I looked at some of the stats, and I see some of the pitching stats. I mean, 31 strikeouts, 2 base on balls, 45 strikeouts, 5 base on balls, 23 strikeouts, 1 base on ball. That was, Farmer, Roth, I believe. That was at that level. That to me is really impressive. Are those numbers skewed any, or is that pretty much accurate? What they're able to command the ball fairly decent.
No, that was what they were there. They weren't skewed.
Yeah.
Brazina, Ross, Farmer, Pendergast, Elliott. You know, we had some guys that could, you know, do some things on the mound, and that helped us as a team. You know, we, as an organization, you know, they want us to, you know, strike guys out, and that's kind of what we did. And they got after it. They were aggressive on the mound. You know, they initiated the action and got right after guys, and it worked well for us.
Is the Gulf Coast League typically more favorable for hitters or pitchers?
You know, something I can't say. This is my first year there. You know, all I know is that when our pitchers took the mound, I was pretty confident in our ability to be in the game late. You know, I just tried not to mess it up.
They have some power arms, Millsy?
You know something, Ross? One thing I've never done, even as a pitching coach, I never look at velocity.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's just something I've never paid attention to. I always look at how the hitter reacts to the baseball. You know, I've had guys in the past throw 100 miles an hour, and the hitter swings like it's 85.
Exactly.
And
Seen it before,
guys that threw 91, and the hitter makes it look like it's 97. So, you know, when it comes to the gun, I don't really pay much attention to it. I pay attention to how the hitter reacts to the baseball.
Would you say that the organization and that they, I mean, look, velocity is kind of the new fad these days, but spin rate is also of extreme importance to a lot of these guys. Is spin rate more important to velocity among this new Orioles regime?
You know, I'm not sure. I can't speak on that because where my job lied, I was out of pitching, so to speak. You know, I still had to deal with it because I was managing, but as far as the ins and outs of what the pitching coaches are doing, I wasn't in those meetings. So all I can say is what I saw this summer. I enjoyed watching it on a daily basis.
Great. What about? I know you had Rushman down there for a little bit. I think Henderson a little bit. Those are the 2 top picks. What is your? Give us your rundown on those 2 guys.
Rushman, you know, he's a switch hitting guy. Love the way he swung the bat. You know, just a outstanding pick. You know, he really, you could tell he was kind of beyond where he was with us. So he didn't stay with us long. Henderson, you know, he's a young kid, huge upside, you know, just has adjusted to playing every day. You know, I coached 3 years in high school before I got hired by the Orioles. So, you know, when you come out of high school, you're playing 3 times a week, you know, at the most, maybe 4, you know, when you get to a playoff scenario. You know, they play a lot in travel ball, but when you play every day, it's a little different than, you know, playing 3 days a week. And, you know, the thing you have to keep in consideration, you know, when you're in high school, you may face a guy throwing 91 miles an hour, and he's throwing hard. But the rest of the week, you may face a guy throwing 85, you know, top. So when you face guys that have velocity day in and day out with, you know, other pitches, there's an adjustment period and there's a learning curve that you have to go through. And, like I said, he has a huge upside. He has an enormous amount of talent. Love the way he swings the bat. Just has to make some adjustments.
Sure.
And he will.
I've heard guys come out of high school and they go, well, he's throwing hard and it's moving too. So yeah, I see. Also, you look at the stats, Millsy, and it looks like some guys have some pretty good speed on your ball club.
Yeah, most of our team ended up in Aberdeen, but it was a good thing. There was a lot of progression.
Yeah.
Janvin ran well. Fontana ran well. We had a lot of guys that could do a lot of things. Like I said, it was a joy. I was truly blessed to be able to manage and watch these guys play. It was a joy. I had a lot of fun this summer.
Great.
Who are other than Henderson and Rutschman? Who are some other names that you think Orioles fans should be keeping their eye on as they rise through the system?
We have a guy named Mason Janvin. He's an outfielder, center fielder, runs well. I think both his parents ran track, very fast. As he progresses and gets better and makes progress professionally, his speed is something, you can't teach that. Sure. That's just like you can't teach a guy to throw a baseball extremely hard.
Right.
It's just something that you're gifted with, and he's gifted with speed. Fontana also runs well. He's raw. Just a well put together individual. Nice physical makeup.
What position he play?
He's an outfielder. I mean, he probably could play anywhere. In the outfield, he has the speed to play anywhere in the field. Just a matter of, where he matches up with his teammates. But we had a lot of guys. Harris Yet was a catcher. He swung the bat well. Hernandez, infielder from El Paso.
Diaz,
shortstop, has outstanding hands. Had a guy in our organization that we did draft this year, Davis Tavares. He has one of the better arms I've seen in the outfield anywhere in our organization. Outstanding arm, and he hit 300 for us. And like I said, I would put his arm up against anybody we have in our organization.
Wow.
We had an enormous amount of talent throughout the organization, so it was a good thing to see, good thing to be a part of.
It sounds like you got some outfielders with some speed. That's something that we haven't seen up here, in a while. So that's that. But pitching wise, who are the guys that you would think we could look for possibly in the future? Obviously, barring health and what have you.
Ross, it's kind of hard to tell. This just in, playing at this level. You see guys and hitters have less discipline, so they're new.
Right.
As you move up ranks, hitters have better idea of the strike zone. They've seen pitches, they've seen pitchers, and they make adjustments. So, when you see a guy progress through levels, then you can kind of have a better idea of what a guy can do. Pavina had outstanding numbers for us. A lefty.
Right.
Didn't throw particularly hard, but, like I said, it's his first year. He played a college season, so, he should get stronger as he matures. It'll be interesting to see how he turns out. All of them, really, I'd really be interested to see how they turn out. Elliott is a monster. I mean, he's probably about 6'6". He had an innings limit, and what he could do, but has a great physique, and I'm interested to see how they all turn out. It's like I said, it was a great experience for me and an enormous amount of talent.
Great. Are you going to be in extended spring? I mean, not extended spring, but instructional league.
We're not having the instructional league.
You're not going to have
year.
it. Okay. All right. Well, that's.
I guess that means no.
That means a big no. Well, Millsy, thank you so much for being with us, buddy, and enlightening us on what's going on there. I know it sounds like you had a good time, and you had when you win, that's always good. That's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
But it makes it a lot better. But like I said, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in the future, man.
All right, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. Well, that was enlightening. Very good. I knew there was, seeing some numbers that these guys had down there. That was very impressive, and winning. I mean, that's a step in the right direction when you can win at rookie ball, and then your low A ball team, Delmarva, who has got some outstanding people. So there's some positive things on the horizon.
You want to establish a winning culture. And,
really.
Starts, look, it doesn't quite matter as much as the big league club what the records are at the bottom, but you like to see the tangible results that it's working, right?
And I hate to compare, with the Giants, but when I was with the Giants, we won several years in Augusta. Augusta, the last time 90 games were won was by a team was Augusta in 2006. That? We had Madison Bumgarner. We had some, big. So now you're seeing Delmarva win 90 games with some horses they got there. So that's a good sign right there.
The projectability of these guys, these pitchers aren't throwing as hard as they're going to be throwing.
Some
in a
of
couple
them, right?
Years,
and
right?
the command wise, and that's one of the things I wanted I wanted to have Millsy talk about some of the guy, and it's hard to project because so many things happen with the pitchers. But you can tell. I mean, what impresses me is the guy's throwing striking, and obviously they're free swingers at the at that level, but still. The guy's throwing strikes, and you can kind of get an idea watching the command of the pitchers, where they throw the ball, and kind of get an idea. But that's been pretty impressive, I think, for to see that.
Well, we have been broadcasting this morning from the Live Casino Hotel studio here at Press Box. Today's show is also brought to you by the fine folks at Sliders.
Yes, sir. It's 771 feet from home plate. Sliders Bar and Grill just steps away from Camden Yards is a perfect sports bar for baseball season and all other sports and all big events on dozens of TVs. Daily specials include Mexican Monday, Wing Ding Wednesday, Bloody Brunch Sunday, and more with different drink specials every day of the week. You can also book your private parties at Sliders. They have a huge upstairs. They have an outdoor patio overlooking Camden Yards. Sliders, Baltimore's neighborhood sports bar. You can see them at slidersbaltimore.com, and be sure to visit Sliders today.
Love it.
Wonderful. Great. Well, that pretty much wraps it up a little bit, I guess.
Sounds good to me, sir.
That was get a little information on our minor league system.
No doubt.
Hopefully help the big guys.
Excited to see how those players progress.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There'll be a lot of exciting baseball, obviously, not only watching the Orioles, but it seems like all the teams have the divisions
coming into clear.
Coming into bit, right? But the
NL Central looks pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, and you got a lot of the last few weeks of the season, last couple weeks of the season, you're going to have a lot of teams playing each other for this wild card spot, and that's a battle. I know Oakland, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. I like Oakland in that. Tampa Bay, who knows what they can do, but some of these teams lacking pitching.
Sure.
Well, not lacking pitching, but happy. They're just getting more. Tampa Bay is getting as many as they can. Mm-hmm. Cleveland is, with the injuries they have, and they got $122 million salary, and they've lost $26 million of it to different injuries.
Kluber's been off and on all year.
Carrasco just got back.
Is now hurt.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've had a lot of guys. The Yankees, they got an over $200 million salary, and they've got $65 million. But they're getting guys coming back. Severino comes back. Their pitching is going to be
better.
That's hopefully for them.
Sure. Well, hopefully not for us.
But you get Houston doing what they're doing.
They're the team to beat.
Exactly. And if the Yankees get any pitching at all, they could be. The Dodgers. They have some injuries, but they're waxing
the arms,
people right.
Sure.
Exactly. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun the next month. What happens? Cardinals, Cubs, Milwaukee. They're battling it out right there. So yeah, and they all play one another, and I think the Cubs play the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. I had it all down here. Yeah. Now I forgot it. They play the last 7 games of the season. 7 out of the 10 games. The Cardinals playing the Cubs, so that could go right down to the end there. So it'll be exciting. Anyway. Have a good week, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Got it, man. Cool, man.